You're listening to the Dare to Love podcast with your hosts, Sonica Tinker and Christian Peterson, founders of LoveWorks.
I wouldn't have dreamed of doing a relationship workshop. It was totally out of the question. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Dare to Love podcast. This is Christian Peterson and
Sonica Tinker.
and we'll be the hosts today. Today, we're going to be talking about why you would do a workshop, what you could expect to gain from a workshop, and what are some of the myths and prejudices we have heard over the years that sometimes keep people away from doing workshops.
Yeah, this man who said he would never have dreamed of doing a relationship workshop, he actually added later, after he had attended with him and his partner, he said, the only reason I ever went was because a trusted friend told me about it and spoke very highly about it. And after having attended many workshops with his wife and the many results he gained, he stated afterwards that their communication, their sex, and their partnership were vastly improved.
Yeah, both he and his wife have since sent many of their friends and clients to come attend the same workshops. If you have concerns or fears about attending a workshop yourself, we hope this material will help assuage your fears and make it doable for you to take the risk to jump into an environment like this. And we also hope it'll be helpful if you have a partner or someone you care about, a friend, a coworker, someone in your family who is reticent to doing a workshop, and you would really like to invite them to a workshop and you think it could be super helpful for them to do it. Hopefully what we share on this podcast will be helpful for you in talking to them, or you could just invite them to listen to this podcast. Of course, Sonica and I are not unbiased and objective in this matter. We love workshops and are enormous proponents of it, of course. Sonica and I our lives have been changed by attending workshops and putting ourselves in this learning environment. We even met in a workshop environment, as many others have met in our workshop environments. And that, of course, is why we have turned around and offer workshops. And you don't have to take it just from us, of course. You can go to the testimonials page on our website and see what other people have said. And we have countless examples of real life stories of individuals and couples who have turned their lives and relationships around by putting themselves in this workshop learning environment. A couple of examples here. We have a mom with two kids who came and did some of our workshops, and afterwards she said, this was pertaining to their sex life, she said, our sex is back to where it was before we had kids. We had a woman who participated in our workshop program who said, she came as a single person, and she said, well, I hate to be cliche, but wow, just 1 week after my workshop program, I met this man. The meeting was random and unexpected, and the connection threw us both for a lovely loop. Or we had a husband tell us, someone who had been married to his wife for 20 years, and they had had a lot of struggles in their life and a lot of loss and pain. He said, after doing your workshops this year, I am dating my wife again, and we are feeling the excitement of possibility for the future, along with the depth of going through so much life experience together. It's rich, fun, and satisfying. We had another woman tell us they were on the brink of divorce before they even got married, actually. They came to us because they were about to cancel their wedding. She said, after doing 2 of our workshops, we are in love. Thank you so much for bringing us together, stronger than I could have ever dreamed. They have started a family and have been doing great. This was several years ago. Or one man who shared with us, who came with his wife of 20 plus years, also on the brink of divorce, who said, this is amazing. We've been married for nearly 25 years, and now when we go on vacation, people think we're on our honeymoon. All of those just to say that amazing transformations can take place, sometimes in just one weekend and sometimes over a series of weekends spread out over time. So we're going to start by sharing some of the myths and prejudices about workshops that people have told us over the years, and then we'll give our responses to them.
And then we'll share with you why we think workshops are a powerful way to learn and educate yourself, and specifically with us, to learn how to transform your relationship world.
Yeah, so here goes. Here's the first myth we often hear, that workshops is all hippy-dippy antics and people are, sitting in circles and kumbayaing and touchy-feely and getting naked and stuff like that. And I'll say, you could probably find workshops like that, but ours aren't those. All our workshops take place in hotel rooms, in a professional environment. They're in a hotel conference rooms. You sit in chairs and you look at a slideshow. And we do, it's a mixture of lecture and breakout group exercises.
And really, our workshops attract professionals and people from all walks of life. We do have experiential exercises. So just like Christian said, we do lecture, and then we have opportunities in breakout groups or with partners to practice the tools that we teach. Everything we do is clothes on, and it's not touchy-feely unless you happen to bring a spouse and you want to hold hands during an exercise.
Yeah, we absolutely encourage that. And other than that, the only touchy-feely you'll be doing is you might shake hands or give a high five, or sometimes give a hug to a participant in the workshop. Next myth we sometimes hear is, well, if you do that, you have to air your dirty laundry in public.
Well, first of all, rest assured that in our workshops, nobody is ever forced to do anything they don't want to do. Our workshops focus on helping you to create what you want. And we're kind of more future creation based than past reaction based, which means we have a tendency to focus more in on what you want to create going forward rather than what you've created up until this point.
And we endeavor to create a blame, shame, complaint-free zone in our workshops. As a matter of fact, you can go through our entire workshops and learn powerful practical tools for change and never share any of your personal problems or issues.
And I got to say, that surprises people a lot, that they realize that you can actually learn a lot without having to ever talk about any of your complaints or problems in a relationship. All right, here's another myth we often hear, or actually not a myth, but actually an experience people have, which is that they're ashamed to have problems. They really believe they should be able to handle it themselves, that relationship stuff should stay behind closed doors.
Yeah, and we want to say for that, you are not alone if you are thinking that. And I'll add, on a personal note for myself, I used to think that for the longest time. It was drilled into me that, it's a sign of weakness and if I can't fix my own problems. And although I deal with it much better today in my adult mature life, it still shows up in my mind. And every time that shows up in my mind, I remind myself that everybody needs help. No one goes it alone. And as a matter of fact, I have come to know that it is a great strength for all of us, the strongest of us, to be able to reach out for help and accept it.
We've all been taught to believe that relationships should just miraculously hum without any relationship trainings or support whatsoever. We've been trained to think that relationships, sex, and parenting are all private arenas and they should just, work no matter what. And it's crazy. Relationships are no different than any other domain. Just like you wouldn't expect to be able to fly an airplane or run a business without training. You can't expect yourself or anybody else for that matter to create a great relationship with no training or support whatsoever either.
You know how it's just like any professional, a firefighter, a doctor, or nursery teacher, they can make educated choices based on their education and experience, whether it's medical or fire emergencies. We're kind of like that with relationship. We can teach you distinctions that allow you to make different choices when you have, in quotes, relationship emergencies, or you just want to create a different reality for yourself and take different actions when you yourself or your partner get triggered or you want something new.
Another common thing we hear from people about workshops is it's not going to work. It's not going to make any difference. We did other stuff. We took other courses. They didn't solve our problem.
The tools we teach in our workshops will help you to shift how you think and see things right away. Sometimes people experience big breakthroughs in their relationships, even on the very first day or the first night of the workshop, just from what we've taught that day. Now, that being said, it does, of course, take time and practice to embody the distinctions that we teach or that you learn anywhere. And we have follow-up programs and coaching sessions that are available to support you further in the event that you need it or just to embody the teachings.
Yeah, and just to say too, right, having great relationships is an ongoing process, right? It's not a one-time effort with an end. So even with whatever you've done in the past hasn't produced the results you want, you just keep going, right? You just keep moving forward. And what we have discovered and witnessed with the people who do our work is that they keep steadily making progress, positive progress in their relationships from the tools that we teach.
Yeah. Another fear we sometimes have people share is that I might run into people that I know if I go take a workshop in this public forum. And we'd say, yeah, that is true. You might do that. But for everyone who has ever attended our courses, that has never been an issue. Like, our courses are set up for you to be able to interact with and do exercises with people you want to and not with people you don't. And we always, as a matter of course, that's the first thing we do in any workshop, is we establish complete confidentiality.
We've even had exes in the same workshops, or therapists and clients in the same workshops. And everyone has felt comfortable and free to focus on their own learning while maintaining privacy and confidentiality and appropriate boundaries.
Yeah.
So just to say, yeah, you really don't have to worry about that.
And I know that there are workshops where the facilitators might really press you or confront you or make you spill the beans on something. And we're not those facilitators. We never do that. Anytime there's a suggestion that you don't want to do or an activity you don't want to participate in, you just say, I pass. And we say, cool, and move right on.
Another common concern we hear is that it's a waste of time. You don't want to spend a whole weekend away from your life to focus on relationship.
And we'll be the first to acknowledge that it does take some time to work on this. It does take a weekend to go to a weekend workshop. And we personally have no doubt, and we have hundreds and hundreds of people who can attest to that what you learn saves you so much agony and time wasted arguing and wondering and feeling terrible down the line for years and years to come.
Yeah, so we always say it is time well invested. And really, just like Christian said, you're going to save so much time fighting and processing, and you're going to be happier. It's totally worth it.
Another thing people often will tell us is, well, I don't want to do workshops because I'd much rather just go to therapy or private counseling.
Now, we're the first to say that therapy can be very useful. Many of our colleagues and clients are fabulous therapists, but workshops are very different than therapy. We teach concrete, usable tools at our workshops. We give you lots of opportunities to practice those tools right there in a supportive setting. And we also support you to break up your habits and stuck patterns right there on the spot. Not only that, but in the course of a weekend, you have multiple opportunities to hear from, interact, and engage with other participants in the course, which by itself is transformational beyond what you might otherwise expect. In fact, it's the synergy of being with other people committed to also creating change in the relationship department that supports everyone to grow exponentially. In fact, several participants have exclaimed over the years that one workshop was worth 3 years of therapy, precisely because of the magnitude of growth that occurs in this kind of a group setting. And we're the first ones to admit that we can't produce the same miraculous results in a 1 hour a week coaching session that we can produce in a concentrated work time together over a weekend. Just isn't possible. There's so much more that happens when you're, steadily working at and playing with incorporating and embodying these new tools and skills. You change really fast.
Yeah, it's an immersion experience. And plus you get other people do your work for you. So let's say Sonic and I as a couple were attending a workshop. We see another couple or another individual that works on issues that are relates to our issues. It's like they do our work for us. So,
yeah, we get to learn from them at the same time as we're learning from ourselves.
The next thing we want to mention is people tell us, I really want to go to this workshop, but my partner doesn't want to come with me.
So the first thing to say about our workshops is our workshops are not a couples workshop. It's a relationship workshop. So we have singles attend this workshop. We have couples attend this workshop. We have men, women. We have people divorced. We have people who have been long time married. We have people newly in relationship coming to our workshops. And we have people who haven't been in relationship for a very long time. So our workshop is really for anybody who is committed to creating shifts and changes in their relationships.
And if you want to go to something like this and your partner doesn't, we encourage you, to treat it as any other conflict where you might ask for, would you be willing to do this with me? Or is there anything I could do for you that would have you be willing to do this with me?
And you're also welcome to call and talk to us to address any concerns that you or your partner might have. And really, in the end, if your partner insists on not attending, come by yourself. As we mentioned, right, this workshop is not just a couples course. It's a workshop on relationship. And you're going to learn powerful tools to bring home to your partner, whether or not your partner attends. Now, of course, it's more empowering for both of you to be able to be there together, working the tools. But it's better to have one person there than neither of you there.
Definitely.
In fact, we actually had one woman who attended the workshop without her partner. And she later came up to us and said, "Thank you so much. I have a message for you from my husband who said he's really grateful that I attended on my own because I unilaterally saved our marriage by being here."
Yeah. All right. Next thing we often hear is that people will say, "I'm already doing other stuff. I'm just too busy to do this."
Now, people who are successful and committed to creating a great life at home and at work are often really busy. But making time out of your life for a weekend to focus on relationship is going to benefit not only your love life, but it's going to benefit your family and your work life too. Our courses help you with all of your relationships. Your spouse, kids, parents, bosses, employees, friends, yourself, even exes. Many people have said that this work has helped them have breakthroughs with stubborn relationships at work to the point of getting raises. So really, if you're busy with other stuff, it's likely you're a good planner and you can probably fit in a weekend away to focus on your relationships too.
Right. and then the last thing we'll mention here in this section of the podcast is people tell us, "I don't think we need this. I don't think I need this. My relationship is going to sort itself out. We shouldn't really need to spend time on this, right? It's supposed to just sort itself out." And that is probably one of the most detrimental myths or beliefs we sometimes have about relationship. It goes along with the one we mentioned before that says I shouldn't need help about anything. But often in relationships particularly, we think that if we just let it blow over, then everything will go back to being fine. And in our experience, relationships don't get better by themselves.
In fact, it's usually the opposite. They usually get worse by themselves. For one, we don't know what we're doing to contribute to the problems and breakdowns. And since we can't change what we can't see, we're destined to keep doing the things that don't work, which is only going to aggravate the situation. Another reason is because, and we actually talk about this in our workshops as well, is that our best efforts to improve relationship only makes things worse, which is just to say that the more we're trying to make it better, it actually is contributing to the breakdowns and problems and keeps us in this downward spiral, which heads us towards divorce.
Yeah, and we probably don't need to tell you that the divorce rates at least in the U.S., but also in much of the Western world, hovers around 50% for first-time marriages, and it's even worse for second and third marriages, which just point to the unworkability of doing things on our own, just hoping that things will work out and hoping it'll just sort itself out and be fixed. Okay, so those were some of the myths that we hear people come to us or concerns that might keep you or your partner or someone you care about from doing a workshop. And we're just going to add a few more pointers about what can you expect from a workshop, at least our kind of workshops, and what is potentially so great. Actually, not potentially, we know for a fact is so powerful about doing workshops.
The first thing is it's a fun and lighthearted way to deep transformational work on your relationship and yourself. We have had so many people be surprised that working, right, quote unquote, working on relationship can be fun.
Yeah, and in one of our very first workshops, when we were just starting out doing LoveWorks workshops, we had a couple that came. They had already decided to get divorced. They had planned it out, and they were doing a last-ditch effort because one of their friends just kept pushing them to do so. And it was probably late in Saturday. We start on a Saturday, so they had been there for almost one day when the woman stood up and said, "Wow, I cannot believe that you can actually have fun while working on your relationship. I'm having a great time."
And I remember another guy said, I think this is the first time I haven't looked at my watch in 2 days. So it really is a fun, experiential way to learn new ways of doing relationships.
Yeah, and another thing that makes it lighthearted and fun is, well, for one, we like to just have fun and dance around and come up with fun things to do. But it also, in some ways, it keeps the concentrated spotlight not just on one person, which you sometimes might have that sense if you're just talking to one counselor or coach or therapist, that you're the one on the spot the whole time. In a workshop, it's dispersed. So we take turns being in the spotlight, and there's a whole group of us sharing the workload.
The other thing I'll say, too, is that we kind of mentioned this a little earlier, too. We have a very positive, uplifting approach to relationship, which is unlike most places that, are out there doing relationship work. We're not diving into the dirt and to your childhood. And, we're more looking at assuming positive intent in every single person and knowing that everyone is doing their best and you want to create something great. And we really do bring this mood of generosity and love and presence. In fact, people feel so seen and so empowered and so supportive in our workshops that it often surprises them that they can feel that good doing transformational work.
Yeah. And perhaps right after that, the most powerful aspect about putting yourself in the space of a workshop is simply to get out of your usual environment, getting out of your usual routine.
Yeah, you get to break patterns. One of the things I still remember Tony Robbins saying is that the difference between a rut and a grave is a few inches. So sometimes the most empowering thing we can do in our relationships is bust up patterns, which you totally get to do in a workshop like this. You get to get out of your routines. You get to break up patterns. You get away from your screen. You get to really connect. I'll never forget one couple who came all the way from Texas, and the man sharing with us, he's like, "Oh my God, I didn't realize I had to come all the way to California to have my wife look at me that way again." And that was made available out of taking themselves out of their normal environment and giving them opportunities to connect in with each other in a way that they wouldn't do otherwise on their own.
Yeah, just the act of getting yourself out of your environment and putting yourself in a new environment, that in and of itself often creates tremendous transformation, believe it or not.
Another thing you're going to get is learning new skills, learning new tools, powerful new practices that you can put into place right away to create some pretty big change. Anytime you get new input, right, it creates new possibilities and new opportunities that aren't available when we keep trying to do the same things over and over and over again.
Yeah, and you could say in our workshops, we have on a Saturday, Sunday program, there's between 18 and 19 hours of teaching, coaching, and practice. You can imagine if you had to stretch that out over, weekly or bi-weekly visits with a coach, an hour, say, every time, it would take you 18 weeks, 36 weeks. It would take you a long time. So you just get a lot of learning in a short period of time. And another thing that's really great about this is that you bypass or trick your usual defense mechanisms by putting yourself in this new kind of environment. When we're at home arguing over stuff or getting triggered about stuff, we're typically used to it, and we have a set way that our defense mechanisms operate and get activated. By putting yourself into this kind of environment where we're putting you through different kinds of exercises, it actually helps to kind of trick your defense systems, and that allows you to get access to deeper material inside yourself.
And not only are you in this concentrated learning environment that helps you transform and shift quicker than you would otherwise, you also get to learn tools that are going to benefit you in your relationships for the rest of your life. We have people come back who studied with us 12 years ago saying, hey, I'm still using that stuff. So you're definitely going to be altered from attending this course.
Yeah, and then there's the power of the mastermind. I've sometimes heard it referred to as the hive mind, that there's something that happens when a group of people with similar intent come together. It's as if the combined power of all of our minds, of all of our skills, of all of our experiences can be accessed, and it turns into something that's greater than the sum of the individuals who are present. Even we don't know exactly how this works, but everybody who's ever talked about masterminds, this is what they talk about, that we access something greater than ourselves, which can have all kinds of benefits. And
it just catapults all of us to greater heights.
Yeah.
And then really the biggest reason is just taking the time to invest in your relationship, to actually learn skills and tools that you're going to be able to use for the rest of your life and all of your relationships. The best case, if you're in a relationship, especially a struggling marriage or relationship, you're going to be able to potentially avoid divorce and be able to stay together, which just by itself can save a lot of money and a lot of heartache. And you're also just going to have the opportunity to create more harmonious, fulfilling relationships thereafter. There's nothing that gives us more pleasure in being able to share with other people what we live every day. Literally, Christian and I resolve conflicts once and for all. We never have the same fight twice. We spend 98% of our time feeling harmoniously connected and intimate with each other. We have a great sex life. We can talk and share with each other everything. And really, we teach you how to do the same thing. Really that is the opportunity, is by investing in your relationship skill development. You get to take that out in your experience in relationship everywhere. There's no place in our lives where a relationship isn't, and where you're not going to be able to capitalize on your learning with us.
Yeah. So in summary, I'd say it's natural to have, especially if you've never tried it, it's natural to have preconceived ideas and maybe fears about stepping into a workshop environment. And, I used to be such a person. I would have said the same thing that the man in the beginning, we quoted in the beginning, said. If you'd asked me when I was in my 20s or maybe even early 30s, I would have said, there's no way I'm doing such a thing. Now, however, I have learned through doing it many times myself and teaching this, using this methodology, I guess, or this tool of a workshop, that there's just nothing that works so well for rapid learning. So that's why we keep doing it.
So Tanya Choi, who is an amazing being, she's a licensed marriage family therapist. She's participated in several of our weekends.
And I'll just say, sorry to interrupt, but I'll say we did an interview with her about trauma and relationship. You can find that on an earlier episode of our podcast here.
So what she actually said is, I've done Gottman, Harville Hendricks, Imago, Hetty Yummy's Encounters in Intimacy, Stan Tatkin, Somatica Couples Training, Family Life, New Life, and multiple church marriage camps. Nothing parallels the life-changing, accessible, and game-changing tools I learned at LoveWorks.
And we had another local friend and colleague of ours who's also a licensed marriage and family therapist, who attended himself with his wife, and later on have referred many of his clients, which is also just to say that going to therapy or counseling works really well in conjunction with coming to a workshop and doing the kind of work that we offer. Anyways, he said, LoveWorks has been my go-to referral for couples who seem to be stuck and need a big transformation. Everyone who's gone has reported wonderful results, and I can wholeheartedly attest to their excellence.
And I'll just say, too, just again to emphasize, this isn't just a workshop for couples. We've had a lot of singles who are in heartbreak at the end of breaking up relationships, broken up marriages, or have been single for a long time. And they've been able to heal, open their hearts up to love again. And some have even found partners at our workshops, which has been sort of fun little love stories.
We are all in relationship all the time. Even if you are currently single, you have been in relationship and you are going to be in relationship. And that's just the intimate part. But even if I wasn't interested in intimate relationship, I am still in relationship with my workmates, my clients, my bosses, my birth family, my kids. Relationships are everywhere. And it's just our profound belief that to be an effective human being, good relationships are the key.
Feel free to contact us if you have any other questions or concerns that weren't mentioned here in this podcast. We're always available to support you in any way we can. We look very forward to hearing from you.
Yes, indeed.
And
See
hopefully
you next time.
seeing you at a workshop. Bye.
Yeah, we should of course end it like that. Maybe we'll get to see you at a workshop.
You've been listening to the Dare to Love podcast with your host, Sonika Tinker and Christian Peterson, founders of LoveWorks. If you found this valuable, please hit the share button and share with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or your other favorite hangouts. You can find more about Sonika and Christian's work at loveworksforyou.com.